Well, good morning and welcome once again to Ed's Orchids. Now I've got an apology to make to begin with to Nina of Ninja Orchids for totally forgetting about the care-collab videos that we're putting on. So I hope I'm not too late. I've just thrown a few paths in front of you now to have a look at, and what we'll really do is talk about the cultivation of them. So let's think about what the basic cultivation is. Well, I mean, to my mind, it goes without saying that the plant hygiene is necessary in preventing insects and diseases, which means keep it where you keep these plants, keep them sort of pristine clean, so it's preventing most insects and diseases. And any plant which is not in the best of health, whether you keep the place clean or not, and if it's in spotless conditions, it will become the first plants to be susceptible to bacteria and fungi, etc. So cleanliness is the main thing, but it's not 100% sure of stopping any diseases. Now, higher temperatures in the night above 14 centigrade will normally prevent any diseases spreading throughout your collection. But the price of energy these days, and I know what I mean when I say that, doesn't help growers reaching these temperatures. And this is one of the reasons I've had to close my greenhouses down, because I was paying over, just under £800 every 3 months for electricity alone. And then I got the gas on top of that. And most books refer to these plants as terrestrials, but I always try to give them conditions similar to epiphytes. Some of these plants are lithotypes, which grow on mosses between limestone rocks. And this doesn't mean that just because they grow on mosses between limestone rocks that they're using the limestone to obtain calcium, because it doesn't work like that, because the limestone rocks are only susceptible to dissolve in very cold water. And where these plants come from, I don't think you'll find they're getting any cold water whatsoever. Now, with watering, this depends on the pot of medium that you use. With some media, such as sphagnum moss, holding more water than plain bark and perlite. And these plants, Paphiopedilum, should never be allowed to dry out. And on the other hand, they should never be kept too wet. And the roots of these plants need to have access to air, which gives you a bit of a clue on what potting media to use. And with orchid bark, I used to use something like 14 to 18 millimetre pieces for these plants, and not the very small stuff which cuts off air to the roots. Fertilizers, from where they come from, fertilizers should only be used occasionally, and these should only be occasionally used on, I'm saying occasionally, saying every month, on the plain leaf varieties. Now, the one with the pattern leaves, where they come from, they hardly get any fertilizer at all. So if you do them every 3 or 4 months, that should suffice for those. Well, I think that's the basis of keeping these sorts of plants, and I'm not showing you any frags, because my collection of these has been decimated by accepting gifts from unknown resources. So that's a lesson I should have learned years ago, but I'm still learning lessons. Well, the first plant I want to show you is this Paphiopedilum enchantress, and it's a division of one of the bigger plants I've got. And this seems to be doing quite well because it's just starting to come up with another new leaf there in the middle. This one is a Paphiopedilum St. Swithin, a two-growth plant, and you might see some of the leaves are slightly mottled, and that is probably fertilizer burn, not fertilizer burn, that is probably insecticide burns, which makes the leaves brighter in places. One over here doing very nicely, coming up with a nice new leaf there, is Paphiopedilum Berenice. Beautiful, beautiful plant, and this is a cross between, I think it's Philippinense and Loyai. And this is a small division of Corolla Ordinauer, a Paphiopedilum, which is a cross between Rothschildianum and Prince Edward of York. Prince Edward of York is one of the best hybrids you can get, because the Rothschildianum is what they name the king of paths, and the Sandrianum is the queen of paths. And here we have a cross of them both, Prince Edward of York, absolutely gorgeous. And this, I'm pleased to say, is just coming up with two leaves. One of them is slightly, well, a lot darker than the other, and that's a sign that it's going to flower, or it's going to spike. So we'll look forward to that one. Well, that about ends the things I have to say about Paphiopedilums. I could go on and on and on, but there's not much point in it. My apologies once again for Nina for forgetting the care-collab. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye.